Hello, and thank you for joining us for this encore presentation of one of Viking's most special journeys. Our friends at All Travel look forward to building the trip of your dreams, and at Viking, we look forward to welcoming you on board. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Traveling Virtually with Viking. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank our travel advisors for inviting you to attend this presentation today. Please note that if you have questions, our virtual chat and Q&A is open, so please feel free to type them in as we go. We'll be answering them during and after the presentation. And today I'd like to welcome Kim Lucy, Viking's Director of National Accounts for Canada. As a 30-year-plus veteran of the cruise industry and passionate traveler, she has explored the world extensively by river and ocean. Let's welcome Kim as we travel to Istanbul. Kim?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, and welcome to all our travel advisors and all of their guests who are joining me today to explore this amazing, amazing city. It's a place I've visited several times. I've been fortunate to cruise on a small Turkish goulet, which is a wooden sailing ship about 85 feet that traveled along the southern coast of Turkey. And then I've also visited Istanbul by cruise ship. So it is a fascinating city, and I'm excited to be able to share some of that history and some of the great sights that you'll get a chance to see if you travel with us on some of our beautiful itineraries that stop in Istanbul. So I'm going to turn off my camera right now, and so you have the full value of the full screen, and let's go and explore Istanbul. So I wanted to start with a map and just a quick overview of Viking for those of you who may or may not have visited or joined us before on previous presentations. Viking started 23 years ago with 4 ships in Russia. And since then, Viking has expanded to sail all over the world with 74 river ships, 6 ocean ships, and in 2022, we'll be adding 2 incredible expedition ships and 1 ship sailing the Mississippi River. We really cater to the thinking person. This is someone like me and maybe like you who's looking for adventure, education. We love music, art, and history, and mostly we like to travel and sail with like-minded people. Biking really gives you that opportunity on small, intimate ships, and we travel by river and by sea. So today, this is where we're going to be exploring this particular area of the Eastern Mediterranean that also backs onto the Black Sea. So just a little bit of background. Istanbul was formerly named the capital, was formerly called Constantinople and also ancient Byzantium. It's the largest city and the largest seaport of Turkey. It was also the capital of the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Empire. It's now home to about 15.5 million people, and it truly is the bridge between Europe and Asia. I'm going to show you a map that will explain that a little bit more, but it truly is an amazing blend of cultures. You really get that sense of the European culture as well as the influence of Asia in the Middle East. It's where East meets West, where Christianity meets Islam. So, and the old walled city of Istanbul stands on a triangular peninsula. This will give you an idea on this map. Between Europe and Asia. You can see here it backs up against Greece and Bulgaria, and it also backs up against Georgia, Iraq, and Syria, and also Iran. So it really has those influences, and because of the Ottoman Empire, you really feel those influences when you're traveling here. It stands on the peninsula, a triangular peninsula between Europe and Asia, sometimes as a bridge, sometimes as a barrier. It's been for more than 2,500 years. It really has stood between the conflicting surges of religion, culture, and imperial power. For many years, it was the most coveted city in the world because of its location and its influence. So let's explore this amazing, amazing place. So what you're seeing here in this map is the three different seas. So you can see that it's connected to the Black Sea, to the Sea of Marmara, and also the Mediterranean Sea. They're connected by the Golden Horn, which is a small submerged valley, which is about 5 miles long, which, if you can see my cursor, is right here. This is the Sea of Marmara. And then you also have the Bosporus. The Bosporus is the channel connecting the Black Sea to the Mediterranean, and it goes through the Sea of Marmara as well as the Dardanelles Straits. It divides literally European Istanbul from the city districts right here, the Golden Horn. These are the districts of Üsküdar and Kadıköy. And over here you have the old city, or the new city actually, of Istanbul. Istanbul has three of the world's largest suspension bridges, including the one you see here, which is the Bosporus Bridge. This one is super impressive. It spans more than 5,000 feet. It was completed in 1973, and it really heralded it's heralded as the first modern age bridge to link Europe to Asia. There's also two tunnels that go under the Bosporus. One of them is for cars and the other one is for trains. But Istanbul really provides an endless array of sites and activities. If you're looking for the excitement of a modern metropolis, you can head out and enjoy the city's incredible nightlife and also its amazing culinary culture. If you're a history buff, Istanbul is a magnificent open-air museum. Each of the three imperial superpowers, the Byzantine, the Greeks, and also the Ottomans, left behind beautiful mosques, monuments, castles, churches, and really have shaped this into a unique cityscape that is equal parts European and equal parts Asian. The name is derived from the Greeks, who founded the city in 657 BC. In 330 BC, Constantine the Great dedicated the city as his capital, and he called it New Rome and later Constantinopolis. At the end of the first millennium, Greek speakers were reported to refer to the trips here as Istanbul. So it means into the city rather than to Constantinople. So over the centuries, by the 13th century, the Greek phrase had become the name of the city, Istanbul. And then over the years, the speech changed a little bit to become Istanbul. In 1930, the Turkish post office officially changed the name to Istanbul, but for a lot of people, it's still called Constantinople. So interesting history. Here you can see the walls of the old city called Istanbul. This is the land walls. These isolate the peninsula from the mainland. And the walls are 4.5 miles long, and they consist of a double row of ramparts. The inner one was built in 413, and the outer one, which is separated by a moat that runs through the middle there, was built in 447 BC. There are still there were originally 92 turrets, and 56 of them that are 60 feet tall still stand today. So you'll get a chance to see this incredible wall of Constantinople. This was the original wall built by Constantine the Great. Now, there are a lot of amazing sites to see here, and one of the most amazing one is the Blue Mosque. When the Turks took possession of Constantinople, they covered the spines of the seven hills. Now, the seven hills, that's why Constantine called this New Rome, because of the seven hills that were reminiscent of Rome. And those seven hills are covered now with domes and minarets, and they really changed the character of the city. The Greeks, the Romans, and the Byzantines, they all loved the city, and they spent money from their treasuries to create and build this amazing city. And it really is breathtaking. One of the most fantastic things to do at night is, if you can get up high, to one of the outdoor terraces and look out over the city. It is breathtaking. And it's all lit, and these minarets and these beautiful mosques are all lit, and it is gorgeous. And then you get the sunset as you see here. I was fortunate to stay in a hotel that was right across from the Four Seasons Hotel when I was there. And they had this rooftop garden, and I will never forget sitting up there and looking out. We were close to the Topkapi Palace, and it was absolutely breathtaking. What a wonderful way to have a cocktail looking out over this really old, amazing city. So the Ottoman dynasty, which lasted between 1300 and 1992, continued to build important structures, and one of them is the Blue Mosque. It was originally called the Mosque of Mohammed I, and that was one of the Ottoman sultans that reigned from 1603 to 1617. And it's unusual because it has 6 minarets rather than the standard 4. But what really makes it unique is this prominent color of the interior. That's why it's called the Blue Mosque. The interior walls are adorned with over 20,000 hand-painted blue tiles, which when bathed with natural light filtering through more than 200 windows is just dazzling. It's still a functional mosque, and visiting is prohibited during prayer time. So if you're traveling with a Viking cruise and you're going in on a tour into Istanbul, we will have front of the line access to take you in with the guides. But if you're there on your own and you're exploring, or maybe you're staying on a post package or a pre package where you may or may not have a tour in here, we always recommend that you should go early to get in, because it is very, very popular as a tourist destination. Also, remember, it is an active religious site, so you must dress conservatively. And for women, that means headscarves and usually long pants or a skirt of some sort. So make sure. But if you forget to bring one, you can always borrow it from the mosque. Another thing to check out when you're going there is the iron chain hanging over the central entrance to the courtyard. It was here supposedly to remind the Sultan to lower his head in humility each time he entered the grounds on horseback. So check that out as well. The other beautiful sight that you'll see is the Hagia Sophia. The Hagia Sophia is one of the greatest buildings in the world, actually. It is really the largest legacy from the capital that vanished. There's only 25 of the Byzantine churches left, and many of them are still in use as mosques today. But the Hagia Sophia is one of the most beautiful. It means divine wisdom. It shares the space with its contemporary neighbor, Saint Irene, which is dedicated to divine peace. Many of the art historians deem the dome that you see here, it's 105 feet in diameter, of the Hagia Sophia, is to be one of the most beautiful in the world. And it was originally said to be built by Constantine in 325 on the foundations of a pagan temple. It's been enlarged and rebuilt over many centuries until 1453, when it became a mosque with the minarets, and the great chandelier, which is breathtaking, was added. It was converted into a mosque in the 15th century, and then later in 1935, it became a museum. And at its time, the Hagia Sophia served as the center of the Eastern Orthodox Church. In 1935, as I said, it became a museum. And if you join me, I think it was last week that I was talking about Waterways of the Tsars on the river, and I was talking about the cathedral in Moscow, which is now the center of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and it is the largest church in the world now. One of the things to check out here while you're here are the 2 runic inscriptions that are engraved on the marble parapets on the top floor of the gallery. And these are said to be graffiti put there by the personal bodyguards of the Byzantine emperors during the Viking times. Some say it was Alexander the Great, but we'll never know, I guess. And then from there, here you can see the Topkapi Palace, which is also amazing. The colors, the tiles, the beauty of this particular palace is remarkable. It's situated to the north towards the Golden Horn, and it actually occupies the whole tip of the promontory. It is enclosed within a fortified wall, and it was begun in 14 1862 by Mehmed II and served as the residence of the sultans until the beginning of the 19th century. Um, it consists mostly of small buildings grouped together around three different courts. And it also, I think one of the things that stood out for me when I went was the beautiful gardens, the courtyards, and then of course you can see the harem, the throne room, and all this incredible tile work. But you can also go in and see the incredible jewels from the sultans, including the 86-carat spoonmaker's diamond. It is it is amazingly large. It was fantastic to go in. The jewels, the gems that are in there, some of them are the size of Easter eggs. It's phenomenal. So I highly recommend a stop there as well. One of the other things that you can explore is underneath the city. And this is the Basilica Cistern, which is Istanbul's largest surviving Byzantine cistern and one of the most unique historic sites in Istanbul. It was constructed in 532 by Justinus I, and it sprawls as an underground water reservoir, which actually is approximately the size of 2 football fields. And it once supplied water to the grand palaces of Constantinople. Now, the palace no longer exists. The cistern was rediscovered in 1545 and was finally renovated in 1985 to welcome visitors. One of the most noteworthy features, and you have to look for it, are the pair of Medusa heads that sit upside down on the base of 2 columns. Nobody knows why they're sitting upside down. The other thing not to miss is the column of tears. And this is said to be good luck. If you insert your thumb in the hole in the column and make a 360-degree turn with your fingers without lifting them up, it will bring you good luck. So if you're interested, Karina Hagen, our owner's daughter, has done a wonderful video on this, and you can see inside. It's fantastic. One of my favorite places in Istanbul, of course, is the Grand Bazaar. This is one of the oldest and largest covered markets. The Grand Bazaar features thousands of shops spread over dozens of streets. There's apparently 4,000 shops, and they're distributed around 2 central distributing houses that spread almost 60 streets inside. It is a maze. We went in with a guide, thank God, but you can really get yourself lost in there, but it is so fun. It's laid out in a grid pattern, and it bustles with life. It's definitely a destination, even for those that aren't planning to buy anything. I found some amazing buys here. I came home with brass skewers for making shish kebabs. I bought a beautiful leather jacket that's just like butter. So did my husband. We did resist the Turkish carpets, but we didn't resist some of the other stuff, which was fantastic. So if you're looking for things, the products to look for are carpets, clothing. Leather clothing is fantastic. Art, chessboards. There's lots of restaurants and cafes, and there's even 2 hammams or Turkish baths that can be found here. Here you can see some of the goods, but also smaller and just nearby this market is the spice market, and I highly recommend going in there as well. It used to be called the Egyptian Bazaar. It was actually funded by Cairo way back. It was built originally in the 16th century, and it features rows and rows of stalls selling spices and sweets and varieties of tea, dried fruits. It's really an amazing place to shop for spices if you want to bring some home. I certainly did. For some of my culinary friends, my foodie friends, and they're super fresh. Saffron was a great buy, turmeric, some of those. But it really is a visual experience because the spices are so full of color and they're piled up like these beautiful pyramids. It's gorgeous, but it is fantastic. So check that out. Now, I wanted to share a little bit about some of the neighborhoods because Istanbul is filled with these amazing neighborhoods, and this is a prime example. Beyoğlu is considered to be modern Istanbul, and but it's been there since the 10th century, if you can imagine, known as the Foreign Quarter. It's been nowadays there aren't a lot of the old buildings still there because of warfare and fires and earthquakes. Most of these buildings have been built since the 19th century. Now, to get there, you go through from the Golden Horn, There's a approach up the hill. It's a very steep hill, and you go up by funicular, and it runs between the Galata waterfall waterfront and the Para Plateau. On the heights up here, you will find the hotels, the restaurants, the theaters, the opera house, and many of the government buildings. You can also check out the Galata district, which is near the bottom, near the waterfront, and it's dominated by a massive tower that shares its name. The tower was built by the Genoese traders that came in the 1300s, 1349, as a watchtower and a fortification for their walled enclave, and now provides the most amazing 360-degree view of Istanbul and the Bosphorus. We took some amazing photographs up there, and you really get a sense of the east and the west of Istanbul, the two sides of the city. Now, you can also hop on the tunnel, which is the second oldest underground train in the world. There's a funicular, as I mentioned, that runs between Karakoy and the Tunnel Square, which opened in, and this underground train was built in 1875 as a means to allow the traders and the merchants a faster way to communicate up and down that hill. It's the oldest underground train after the London Underground, and it still operates today. And it's a really popular way to reach the Beyoğlu area. Now, Ataköy is another area that you might want to explore. It's one of the smaller neighborhoods. It's not as touristy as uh, Beyoğlu, but and here you'll need to take a ferry or a bus to reach it, or you can take a taxi. Here you'll have the narrow streets that divide the dense array of market stalls and shops. And when the sun goes down, this is where you'll find a lot of the restaurants, the bars, the nightlife. There's a lot of little like we dined along the street, and it was really, really fun. You can just watch all the people. The food was great, and you'll also get a chance to look over the Bosporus. Now, one of the other places you might want to look for, I don't have a great picture of this, but is the Sisek Passage. This is called the Flower Passage, and it's one of the most beautiful arcades with with a glassed roof. It's got a gorgeous interior. It's very kind of grand, and the waiters. It's a really fun place to have a beer and maybe some French fries and just soak in the nostalgia. When I was there, they had a gentleman playing the violin. It was really wonderful. Now, I wanted to share some cultural experiences as well. One of the things you absolutely have to do in Turkey and certainly in Istanbul is to visit a hammam. Now, a hammam is a spa, a Turkish spa, and it's a ritual that is an unmissable experience if you're visiting here. The hammams are absolutely gorgeous inside. They're architectural masterpieces, and they date back half a millennium. And the way it works is that families often come together, and this is a social thing. They come together, they experience the hammam, and what they do is they scrub you down literally with a loofah, and you sit on these big warm marble slabs, and they exfoliate. The attendants exfoliate you. They massage you. You sit in a sort of smother you in the bubbles, and then they escort you to a soaking bath. It is fantastic. Usually the men and the women are separated. Sometimes you have to go at different times of the day. It depends on the hammam, but I highly recommend it. It is an opportunity that we offer through Viking with some of our tours. You can enjoy a hammam in the evening with music, or you can go and enjoy it during the day. There's a couple of different options when you come in with us as well. Now, one of the other fun things to do, if you're interested, even if you're not looking to buy, it is great entertainment, is to go shopping for Turkish carpets. The typical rug buying experience in Istanbul is a grand spectacle, and it's truly an adventure because they bring out all the carpets and they start laying them out, and there's a point where you're just overwhelmed. Commonly, an interested shopper is wowed by the collection of the carpets, and they're kind of laid out in front of you. They serve you Turkish coffee or mint tea, and or different things, raki even if you want to, which is that strong drink. And you'll learn the difference between the Turkish carpets and the kilim carpets. The difference being that the Turkish carpets are knotted, and different sizes of knots make up the quality of the carpets and the beautiful designs. Those all represent the different costs. And then the kilims are actually woven and they have these brilliant colors. So it's a fantastic experience. I highly recommend it. You will definitely learn. You think just when you think you can't say no one more time, you'll fall in love with one of them and end up saying yes. I don't know too many people who've come home without some sort of Turkish carpet, but they are a great investment. One of the other things you might want to try here also is to visit the Galata Mevlevi Lodge, and this is where they have the whirling dervishes. This is a member of the Mevlevi order. They adhere to Sufism, and this in this beautiful building, it's 15th century. It's converted to a museum in 1975, and it still stores the remnants of the Sufi culture. Now, here you'll get a chance to go on one of the excursions that we offer that take you in to see them. It's a spinning dance or Sufi whirling. It's believed to free the soul from the worldly concerns and lift it closer to God. So it's a really amazing thing to watch. And that's something you can also check out one of the videos if you want to see it. Karina has done a lovely video on that. Now, you can't go to Turkey without trying some of the incredible food. It's a perfect place to enjoy the rich diversity of the Turkish cuisine, not unlike a lot of the Mediterranean cuisine that you'll find in Greece and some of the others, but Turkish food is slightly different. And there's lots and lots of things to see. You might want to visit the Pizzeria Pera. Here it's known apparently to have the best pizza in town. And here you can try the lahmacun, which is the Turkish pizza that's topped with local Turkish spices and meats and flavors, or you can opt for a more traditional slice. If you also want to try, if you want something a little bit lighter or maybe just a sweet snack, you can stop at the Hafez Mustafa, 1864, named for the year it was founded. And you can pause over a delicious Turkish coffee, maybe have some ice cream, some beautiful cake, or maybe you want to try the Turkish delight. You'll find this all over Istanbul. It's well worth trying. And then we also have, of course, one of my favorites, which is baklava, which is a phyllo pastry filled with honey and pistachios, and there's all varieties of this. If you travel to Greece, you might have tried it, but certainly it is delectable, and the best place to have it is in Istanbul. And certainly the Hafiz Mustafa is one of the best known places to try it. You can also try the doner, the kofta, which is the shish kebabs. You can also try some of the mezes, which are which are little appetizer dishes. And also you can wash it down with lots of Turkish coffee and mint tea. So I wanted to leave you with some reading. If you're interested in learning more about Istanbul, this is a wonderful story by Orhan Pamuk. It's called The Museum of Innocence. And he's a very famous Turkish writer. He's written a lot of different novels. This one was actually a winner of a Nobel Prize in literature. It's set in 1975 in Istanbul, and it's about two children of two prominent families, kind of I think a Romeo and Juliet that are about to become engaged. But Kemal meets another girl, Fusan, who's a beautiful shop girl and a distant relation, and he becomes enthralled with her. Obviously, this leads to all kinds of problems and trouble and adventures, and he pursues her over 8 years. And during that time, he becomes a compulsive collector of objects that chronicle his lovelorn progress. And he eventually amasses them into a museum which is both a map of society and his heart. So lovely story. And if you enjoy that story, when you go to Istanbul, you can also go to the European Museum of the Year from 2014. It's called the Museum of Innocence, and it's a must-see for the readers of this book. If you're interested in the culture and the material history of Istanbul, it's filled with countless household objects, and photographs displayed in the museum are connected to this bittersweet love story that unfolds in the novel. So you might have fun with that. If you're interested in cooking, you might want to try Eat Smart in Turkey. This is a fascinating history and culture of Turkish cuisine and includes some delicious recipes. And they say that if you're going to Turkey, this is the one book you must take along, because it teaches you it teaches about the food. It tells you which things to try in the street food. And it's a great little travel guide as well. If you're looking for a movie, you can check out The Water Diviner with Russell Crowe. This is the story of an Australian farmer who's on a quest to find his three missing sons who have been reported as missing in action after the Battle of Gallipoli. I can't even say it anymore. Gallipoli in and also in Istanbul, he befriends a Turkish woman. Now, it was a little bit controversial because it says that it takes the Turkish side in the Battle of Gallipoli. And obviously, there's a different point of view on that as well. So you can check that out on your own and make your own decisions of it if you like. The other one is The Crossing of the Bridge, The Sounds of Istanbul. And this one has won a number of awards, including at the Cannes Film Festival and the London Film Festival. And really, it's to discover the vibrant music of Istanbul in both traditional and modern music. So you can check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about the culture. Check out our Viking TV. I mentioned some of the videos that Karina has done. These are fantastic if you want a little bit more insight into some of these cultural experiences I talked to. And finally, let's take a look at some of the itineraries that are that take you into this beautiful city, and you can explore not only that, but other parts of Turkey and Eastern Greece. So this one, Ancient Mediterranean Treasures. This is a fantastic experience. We can start either in Istanbul or Athens. It's an 8-day cruise with 6 guided tours. You're visiting Heraklion, which is in Crete with incredible antiquities, Rhodes, which has antiquities that date back to the Crusaders, Ephesus, which is probably one of the most amazing antiquity sites that I've ever been to, and it is continually being uncovered, and some of the things that they found are amazing. And then of course Troy, which is the site of the Battle of Troy and the Trojan horse with Hercules, and also ancient Mediterranean antiquities. This one goes into Ephesus, but also covers Athens, Greece, different parts of Greece, including Crete, and then up the Italian and French Riviera into Barcelona. Ancient Adriatic Treasures, 15 days as well, Venice to Istanbul, with stops again in Turkey, in Greece, some of the antiquity sites like Katakolon, which is Olympia, Corfu, and also Crete and Rhodes, Ephesus, and Troy. Iconic Mediterranean Treasures, 22 days, that puts everything together. If you really want to see the Eastern and Western Mediterranean, wonderful way to do it. And then another 22-day adventure, which really concentrates you more into the Greek, the Croatian coast, and parts of Italy, Adriatic and Mediterranean sojourn. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I've inspired you a little bit about travel to Istanbul. It's an exotic destination that really does bridge Eastern and Western culture and open the doors to many, many incredible adventures. Michael, do we have some questions?
Yes, we do, Kim. So our first question is, what is the preferred time of year to travel there?
Oh, I would probably avoid the heat of summer. When I traveled into this area, I went in the spring. I was there in May, and April, May, June is wonderful. And also the fall is fantastic. I've traveled there in the fall months, September, October, even into November. I was there in early December, and it was great. Now, I think if you just follow along with our itineraries, you'll see that we're traveling into those areas during the peak times to visit. But I would probably just avoid July and August because it can be very, very hot. But it is, you just dress for it. You can never have a bad time in Istanbul.
Yeah. Our next question is specific to those rugs and carpets that you had mentioned. Are you able to ship those,
Good question. Yes, they will ship them home for you. They want to sell you a carpet in the worst way. So as I said, when I said you have to practice saying no, you do. But eventually you'll probably cave. But yes, they will ship the big ones home for you. Many people buy the little prayer rugs. They're easy to wrap up. And certainly the silk ones are super light. They're so finely knotted and they're super light. They're gorgeous. But those are also the most expensive ones. But as I say, they will ship them home. We've had stuff shipped from various trips that we've made. And we will probably recommend, or if you're traveling with our guides on any of our trips, they will recommend reputable carpet stops, whether it's in the Grand Bazaar or it's at a carpet store, and you can feel safe to know that those will be shipped home properly. So yeah, don't be afraid to shop there. There's lots of great deals, but you do have to haggle. And somewhere I was reading, and if I remember, I used to let my husband do this because I'm not very good at this type of haggling, but he was amazing. And they say to start at about 50% less of what they suggest, or at least that's where you should probably end up. So you might want to start less, and they'll eventually, if you walk out of the store, you'll end up getting the price you want. So it is part of the fun. It's part of the adventure, and certainly part of the culture.
Great. And our last and final question is, you mentioned bars. Do they, is alcohol legal in Turkey and in Istanbul?
Yes, it is. Because you've got that Western influence. There are going to be areas, but yes, you can have wine and beer. It's not completely taboo, but you'll find that most people drink coffee and tea, and you will find beer and wine around the area because of that Western influence.
Great. Well, that's it for questions. So thank you so much for your presentation, Kim.
Thank you.
I just want to thank all of our travel advisors and their clients for joining us. If you have any additional questions on any of Viking's itineraries that visit Istanbul, please reach out to your advisor. As a reminder, we do these traveling virtually with Viking events Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in learning more, please reach out to them. Thanks again for traveling virtually with Viking, and we'll see you next time.